You remember the calendar that we saw? It was February, yes? My God, they were here for months.
The Apocalypse Players present Machine Tractor Station Kharkov-37.
I think this was not a mass execution, this was something else.
A Call of Cthulhu scenario written by Bret Kramer. With Danann McAleer as Senior Lieutenant Grigor Fyodorov of the Red Army.
How was your stool? I hate to ask such a personal question.
Joseph Chance as Senior Sergeant Dr. Vissarion Beo Ivanovich Yuskov Lyubimova of the Red Army.
Now you mention it, perhaps I should go to the latrine. I will catch up with you as soon as I am ready.
Dominic Allen as Administrator Major Yuri Kopelev of the Telegraph Service of the Soviet Union.
You remember what I said last night about the parasites? You don't think he might have a parasitic infection, do you?
And Dan Wheeler as everybody else.
In the final garage, they found a laboratory, where the doctor laid his hands on a large chemistry textbook and various other documents, including a very interesting fragment from the Astronomical Institute at Volokolamsk. Trepanov, meanwhile, discovered a box containing hundreds of passports. As the first day at the station drew to a close, Lieutenant Fyodorov was keen to take the men and leave, even if that meant abandoning the TASS agents. However, one of his sergeants convinced him to stay, for the sake of the men, who, it seemed, required rest. It was while he was distracted that Lyubimova was taken aside by the agents and, shall we say, encouraged to be more candid. The doctor's revolver was fired, but the situation was diffused, thankfully. And afterwards, there was something of a sharing of secrets. Major Kopelev was at last convinced that the Red Army officers were not, in fact, OGPU agents, and knew nothing of the station's past. In return, the Major revealed his own fears, that the lights were keeping something at bay in the silo. The sun set, and the troops turned in for the night.
I'm going to pick up in the morning, but I just want to find out what happened overnight, really.
Well, I felt a bit queasy, didn't I, just before I went to bed? I seem to remember.
Well, no, I don't think you felt ill before you went to bed.
Oh.
But tell me, did you go to bed with this chemistry text? Did you study it?
I had a little look at that in my luxurious Red Army sleeping blankets.
So it's dense and it's very thoroughly annotated. So if you wanted to look at it really thoroughly, it's going to take you 8 hours.
Oh my God.
So I would assume that you don't want to spend all night looking at it, but shall I can say that you've half looked at it before you went to bed, before you went to sleep?
Yeah. I mean, if you can give me that.
Yeah, I'm happy to give you that. And then if you want to finish looking at it, you'll have to devote some time to it today.
Yeah. There is the rhythm that he needs to maintain of sort of he has to do the pincer movement of snapping the lice in two as he finds them in his blanket. Because of course we're low on anti-lice treatment, aren't we?
We are, well remembered, yeah.
And even in the cold, they are.
Just little bastards.
Yeah.
Parasites.
But that keeps me awake as well. So I keep the rhythm for a while, for a couple of hours, dreaming of shooting Trepanov between the eyes.
So basically, what you've inferred so far from this text is that it looks like it's been feverishly annotated and corrected, as if the owner of this textbook has discovered that a lot of previously accepted bits of knowledge about chemistry and biochemistry are not correct.
Interesting.
So he's made all sorts of alterations, but you haven't been able to go all the way through and gather exactly what that means.
Would you like me to roll a chemistry check to see how I'm doing? Since I do actually have the skill. I mean, I've got some points in it.
Yes, why not? Give me a chemistry roll then to see whether you're...
Might as well give it a go, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You never know.
Get into more trouble.
Well,
Ooh. I could pass that if I spend 7 luck.
how much luck have you
I
got?
feel like this...
You can't take it with you.
You really can't, and I feel like I'm about to be sick as well, so... I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend 7 luck. I'm going to pass that. The feverish snapping of the lice heads gives me... Yeah.
Okay, that's great. You are understanding it so far, but you do need to have another look at it before I'm going to tell you anything else.
Okay, gotcha. But I'm intrigued.
Meanwhile, Major Kopelev, you were looking at you had the agriculture report.
Yeah.
So I've sent you, basically what I've sent you is a summary of the report. That's the highlights, if you will, that you have got out of it after reading it for an hour. And I am just going to assume that you passed an intelligence roll because it's not particularly complex. So we'll pick it up in the morning. Major Kopelev and Lieutenant Fyodorov wake up feeling well rested. Maybe some of your concerns from the previous day have sort of passed, having spent a very quiet, uneventful night. I think, Kopelev, maybe you were calmed by the fact that, if you did stir, you could see the glow of these lights through the canvas of your tent. And you felt like that was the thing that needed to be done to keep you safe. There were troops on watch all night on rotation. None of them reported anything, seeing anything or hearing anything. However, Dr. Lyubimova, you've woken up feeling really sluggish, like lethargic. You don't feel unwell. You just feel maybe you're just going to be a little bit slower today. You don't really want to... You're not too keen to do too much or go too far today. You're just feeling low level, sluggish, drained,
It begins.
And then as you start to all gather round the sort of makeshift mess area, you realise that there's a few soldiers who are suffering from a similar sort of complaint. Most notably, Private Zhivenko, who you might remember was the one who had the fright with the rabbit 2 days ago. He hasn't even left his tent. He's in a really bad way. They're a little bit worried about him. They don't think it's dysentery. He's sort of huddled up and just almost like he's like agoraphobic. He just doesn't want to leave his tent. And they're inclined to leave him there for the time being because there hasn't been, any orders given yet. And a few of the other soldiers are feeling a bit sluggish in the same way as you are, Lyubimova. A couple of the soldiers from Kovalevsky's division who you haven't met yet, Private Rydmin and Private Lamarkin. You're probably not going to meet them now because they're both just really under the weather, and maybe they've got a touch of dysentery. Maybe that's all it is because they're feeling a bit sick as well. But there's just a bit of uneasiness in both troop squads. Everyone else seems fine, and you haven't got any physical symptoms really, Dr. Lyubimova. Just this tiredness. What do you guys want to do?
Well, once I'm awake, I want to take Tripanov and I want to find Fyodorov and Lyubimova. So I think we need to have we have a chinwag. I'd like to have a chinwag with them about a plan of action, because, well, when if I get to their tent as they're sort of getting ready, I'll sort of say, I have this agricultural report I have read, and it tells an interesting story, perhaps one that is on the surface what we already know, but I think I would like to, with your blessing, set up a small detail of ourselves and perhaps a few of the men to go and off-site to some of the local collectives and speak to the people there. Basically, the reports suggest that this report was marked secret by the OGPU, and it is from the Agricultural Commissariat. It's an output of the tractor station's, an overview of the output of the tractor station since it began. Production was very bad, and there was a resistance to collectivization. So there were a number of arrests and executions and indefinite imprisonments. And the party decided to combat this by settling volunteers in Urenkovo in 1929 to ensure loyalty. Well, that in itself is curious to me, because I think that if we are looking for OGPU agents and they are not here, then the likelihood is that they will be in Urenkovo. If that was where the loyalists were, I would certainly like to go there and see if that is still the case. But suffice it to say, output levels then skyrocketed. The tractor station was given the Order of Lenin and awarded this specialist dairy status. But the following year, output had reduced yet again. Something strange was going on. I'm now starting to think that perhaps there was some kind of attempt with the chemistry and the biological experiments going on to improve grain production. Some kind of genetic modification that went out of control.
Goodness.
But, Lieutenant, you have absolute faith in your men. There is no OGPU agents or suspected OGPU agents working within your unit. We can trust to leave them here alone.
Yes, I believe so. I can trust at least my sergeants. Doctor, would you be coming with us? I think you're right.
Well, so I've heard from Jorge that there are a number of men who are not well today. Although I did manage to go through this book, and I have the chemistry text in my hand, it will require greater reading. I wonder if perhaps I should stay here, tend to the men. Also, Kovalevsky is not always the most reliable of individuals.
Da. I was going to say perhaps I take Kovalevsky and his troops and leave Blockensteff with you. He's more agreeable, I would say.
If you think it's best to keep an eye on the... I think, if there is a man who I don't know his past, and I never quite know what cards he wants to play, it's Kovalevsky. But I'm not saying, Comrade Major Kopelev, that I have any reason for suspicion, but...
No.
That is my instinct, is that he's the one. You always know where you are with Blochenstev.
Oh, Blockensteff is... they are all loyal men. But I was just, if you are to stay here, whom would you...
I feel a strange... I don't know what to describe. Perhaps it is the exertion of yesterday. We did not have lunch after all.
No.
Which reminds me, we should have breakfast now.
Da.
You, Private, make sure that we get some breakfast here.
Da.
Yes, but I feel an odd sense of listlessness. Listless, yes.
Are you sick?
I feel oddly listless. Where is that word? I know that word. Why have I come across that word recently? I will tell you if I remember. But he lights his pipe. I feel that perhaps my place is here in the camp. If you gentlemen are away. What do you... Lieutenant Major... Is this a bad idea?
No. Well, there's no one I would trust more, of course. And if there is this There's still some dysentery in the camp, it seems, and if you're feeling some symptoms yourself, of course, it's best not to exert yourself. I agree with you, Major, that we should scout out this outlying Kharkov.
I do not think we need a large detail of men.
No.
How long would it take to drive there? To Urenco, I think, is the one that we're... Because although I don't have the map, but I did see a map back before we left, and I'm thinking, I know it's northeast, isn't it?
Oh, here we go. I've got a map. Urenco is northeast of here, yeah, and it looks like it's up a hill, down the valley and up a hill.
So that'll take you 30 minutes if you drive.
Well, that seems reasonable.
Yeah. No, I think we drive. Are there roads, or is it off-road?
It's off-road, but...
They're sturdy vehicles, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you take Trepanov with you, he's quite a good driver, remember?
Yeah. Yes, I think Trepanov certainly should come with us.
We may need a mechanic in case we need to fix the car if it breaks down. I don't know where I'm from. Probably somewhere near the Avignon region, I think.
We're all Eurotrash.
Eurotrash.
Well, perhaps... Doctor, I leave you, obviously, in command.
You won't be away long.
No.
And it gives me better time to read this and understand. What I can say is that they are definitely trying to... the person who makes the man or woman who has made the annotations is correcting the work of the original book, which perhaps fits with your idea, Major. That someone came here and said, no, this was all rubbish, the way that we can use this, but it is beyond me at the moment, but I will get there. I know there is something in it. I am fascinated.
Good. Well, make sure you rest as well, and eat.
Oh, yes, no.
So Trepanov just looks at you, Doctor, with one of his trademark mirthless smiles and says, "Are you sure you don't want to come with us, Doctor? We're planning such a lovely expedition. Maybe some fresh air would be good for you. I think we will have a nice time together."
Well.
No, I think the doctor should stay here.
Very well, so be it. And he says, "I hope you will be very safe here, Doctor.
Well, as do we all.
Look after yourself, yes?"
Wait, are you saying... Wait. All right, fine, I come with you, but perhaps I stay and read for as long as I possibly can. Unless you need me.
Oh. You do what you want to do. I just didn't want you to miss out on a nice day trip.
Yeah, his eyes narrow. Perhaps for the first time. He thinks back to that moment when he got the gun out and he fired it in the ground. D10 damage per round. Obviously, he would have missed. So, it's irrelevant, isn't it? But,
Likelihood is we find nothing. We're back in 2 hours maximum. You've read your book. You've had some lunch. We're hardly going on a picnic now. Come on.
yes, I do feel this fatigue, this listlessness. I can't say. Maybe it's... I need some breakfast. I can't make this decision without the breakfast. Private, where is the breakfast? Come.
And Private trots up with...
Private Trotsky.
Private Trotsky trots up.
It's an unfortunate name.
He'd have changed his name by now.
With some sort of powdered eggs and powdered coffee with some powdered milk. It's like Huel.
Horrible.
Just add water. But we've got none, so it's just powder.
Yeah.
We've got some powdered water to add.
Everything tastes a bit gross because they're using the water that had been treated with iodine.
Although at least we found that, thank fuck.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how many men are there in each squadron again?
So including the sergeants. So there's 10 in one and 9 in the other. But you're down a few. So Kovalevsky's squadron, he's got 2 people who are not really going to be much use today. So actually there's only 7 really in his squad. And then there's 9 in Blochinstev's. Well, there would be 10, but Jibenko ain't going nowhere.
Okay, so I'm just going to, as we're eating breakfast, just sort of say to the doctor, I mean, I'm not trying to hide it particularly from the major, but just say, now, Bayo,
No.
who would you prefer to have as your second in command, Blochinstev or Kovalevsky? It's just for the afternoon, but I want to make sure, since you're not feeling well.
I mean, blotting stuff would be easier for me, but then my concern is...
Well, you're feeling under the weather. You need to rest. You don't need any stress. I'll take Kovalevsky with me and three of his men. 4 of his men.
Well, yes, but Lieutenant, I must add this. I am aware, I've been around the block, and he doesn't hide this from the Major either. If anything, he slightly raises his voice. I've been around the block a little, and I can't help but notice that yesterday we were not happy. Today the new day starts. The morning makes us feel more confident. There's a lot here that we do not understand. The sooner you come back, the better, but also perhaps we need to be very, very aware that there may need to be a point that we must retreat to. I don't know if you and the Major have an idea of what that might be, but...
A retreat point?
Well, I keep feeling like this place is an abandoned place, and if Yurenko is also abandoned, my concern is someone might come back for something that they want to clear up. I don't know.
If there is this experimentation, as we suspect, then yes, of course, there's always a chance that there may be rogue agents or madmen, anything, who might come back to find these pamphlets, these remains. So yes, I think I agree. We hit Yurenko quickly, see what we can find there, come back here. If nothing, we try somewhere else.
Very good, Lieutenant.
But we keep the men on lookout, keep a good rotation.
Here, have some sausage. Have some sausage with your drive. I got this good stuff. This is good stuff. Have some sausage with your... Major, you want some?
Niet.
Oh, there, you should.
It's from my own personal supply.
Oh.
Come, with some vodka, my friends, with some vodka, comrades. Here, this is the good stuff.
It's good. He's not joking. Spicy. It'll blow the roof of your mouth off.
He pours the Major and the Lieutenant a vodka, and for a moment he pauses and looks at Trepanov, and then he pours him one as well.
Da. Thank you very much.
Na zdrowie.
Здравствуйте.
Vodka.
Did you all just say hello to each other?
That's the only thing we know how to say. What is cheers?
Na zdrowie.
Zdrowie.
Da zdrowie. As opposed to здравствуйте.
Which is hello.
Da zdrowie, здравствуйте.
Меня зовут Бео. Мне нравится яблоко.
You've exhausted the extent of my Russian now, so that's it.
Anyway, so I would suggest, just for simplicity's sake, that if you're taking Kovalevsky, you take Kovalevsky's whole division, because there's only 7 including him.
Oh, okay.
So I would say take them all, and then we just know Kovalevsky's division is with you, and Blockensteff's division is staying at the camp with the doctor.
Duh.
If that's okay with you.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, one last thing before you go. I'm sort of going over to them at the vehicles, I suspect, because, it's that kind of show. But I say again, it's not hidden, because it's a last-minute thought. I go up to the Major and Lieutenant with the Major's shadow nearby, and I say, comrades, I meant to ask, what of the corpses on the southwesterly side of that compound? You know those burning patches? We never checked them.
Yeah, duh.
Shall I send Blochenstev's men to have a look?
I will leave it to your judgment. There's part of me that thinks the superstitions of the men, maybe they'd be more comfortable with them buried, but the exertion and the psychological toll of dealing with corpses, I think it must be their choice to a certain extent. But, yes. I mean, there were 3 big piles of bodies, right?
We never even looked at them, did we?
We sort of saw that they were bodies and
we saw
go close enough to see anything else.
They were, so you saw pyres,
yeah,
but you weren't sure whether you thought the most logical explanation was that they were burnt cattle.
Oh, I see. In my head, I've just been thinking, oh God, they're probably humans, but I forgot that we hadn't actually discovered that.
Well, they could be, but the only human remains you actually haven't found. You could count on the fingers of both hands how many definite human corpses.
Yes, of course, and also the fact that it's a dairy and the livestock are obviously missing.
Having said that, you found a box with several hundred passports in it.
Right.
But those people might still be around somewhere.
They might.
But they might not be. Anyway, as you say, that's maybe Dr. Lyubomova's prerogative if you're leaving him here.
Well, but wait, gentlemen, I mean, it would be a matter of 10 minutes to go over there and check. Where is the fire?
You're right.
Do you think, I mean, Major, what do you say?
I agree. We may as well have a look.
Okay, so you're all going to go over to
The pyres.
the one bit of the station that you haven't really had a good look at.
Yeah.
As we're walking over, I say, also on the report I was reading last night, it mentions that when the dairy was incorporated after its successful harvest, they brought in a number of volunteers, which I think is a euphemism. I think perhaps our box of passports are the last remains of the unfortunate souls that were forced here.
It's possible, yes.
Surely, Major, they were transferred here because they were not committed to the party courts.
Perhaps fortunate souls.
Yes, but I do not think they would be... I think they would be fortunate had they been fully reformed. But I think, judging by the fact that their passports are in a box, that
No.
they were not successful in their reformation and that they perished before they could have an opportunity to embrace the motherland.
That is a pity.
Well, I think it's best that we cover our mouths and noses when we approach, just in case of pestilence.
I don't believe that works. Oh, actually, sorry, no, I do believe that works because I have an intelligence of 70.
Yeah. whereas Bayo just shrugs and goes, yeah, maybe it doesn't.
Sick burn on the listeners who sat on the tube without a mask on.
All you lot in the future idiots.
Yeah, anyone listening to this, wear a fucking mask.
You pricks.
This won't go out for 6 months. We'll be the idiots because it will be revealed that it was just flu.
Yeah. Classic.
But right now, in February 2021, wear a fucking mask.
And now the listeners are sat there laughing and be like, he thought it would end in 6 months. It's 2036.
No.
Oh, the idea that people might still be listening to my voice in 2036 gives me a lovely warm feeling.
Yeah. From their re-education camps.
They're all huddled around a burning brazier, eating their, dead relative.
Rats on a stick.
And listening to podcasts.
Rolling dice made of their parents' bones.
Yeah. Listening to this on cassette. This is like the only tape left for some reason.
That's the next scenario, guys. Let's finish this one first.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
So let me just confirm. You have decided you three and me, Trepanov, are all going to move over to the three pyres.
Should we take a couple of men with us as well?
I was not going to simply because there's still part of me that's suspicious
Right.
about what we might find.
A
And
little bit. Getting a bit too jumpy.
morale. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Brace yourselves, gentlemen.
Okay, so Blockensteff, he says, don't worry, take all the time you need. I will make sure the truck is loaded with supplies and make sure the men are prepared. I'll bring us some purified water and some supplies. I don't know how long we will be gone for, but...
Only a few hours, probably. Good man. Thank you,
sir.
Sergeant.
Sir. So you trust that basically when you're ready to leave, Blockensteff will have the trucks ready. So you make your way over to the barn. As you get near it, Major Kopolev, you have this horrible sort of flashback of going in the barn and having the dust of the mice drain through your fingers. You try not to look at it as you walk past. Dr. Lyubomova, you're feeling a bit better actually, just from sort of walking around. You're feeling okay. You see these three big mounds, and as you get close, you can see they are definitely like mounds of blackened cattle bones. Most of the bones are really huge, You see a few very obvious castle skulls, even with the sort of snow piled up around them and the passage of time. These mounds are, well, they're probably at least as tall as a tall man, and wide. Can one of you give me a spot hidden roll?
Any one of the three of us?
Yeah, just one of you is fine.
I got a good success, but not a hard success.
I think as much as you were trying to drag your eyes away from the barn, you kept sort of looking back there. And when you've come around the other side of it here where these mounds are, you see that there's like a list on the side of the barn of names. There's like a long list of names. You'd guess at least 100.
Daisy.
You don't really know too much about it. And then at the very top...
Marigold.
At the very top of the list... At the very top of the list is a motto that says, "Long live the Communist Party and the workers and farmers state." And that's just a sort of emblazoned on the wall of the barn. And so you're now quite close to these mounds. I don't know whether you want to have a closer look at them.
When in Rome.
Remind me, gentlemen, the interior of the barn, that wasn't a burning situation, was it? It was abandoned.
There was just a few crates in there, right?
Yeah. And we missed the dusty mice.
Yeah.
You actually put a couple of men to work searching through the barn.
Oh, and they didn't...
For an hour, and they found nothing.
Yeah. I'm going to circle these things at least.
We need to look. I mean, I saunter. I don't go over there. I light my pipe again. I saunter over with my scarf around my face. But a bit even more cautious now.
So as you start poking through these bones, Doctor, give me a medicine roll.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous and I'm tired. I'm not focused.
Okay.
But actually, do you know what? I'm going to push it. How
are you going to push it?
So I realise that I'm nervous, and I realise that I'm doing that thing. I even take a step away, and I lean. I look at my pipe, and I look at the other two men as they're engaging with the question, and then I look at Treppinov, and I just.
He gives you that smile.
Yeah, and I find my hand going instinctively towards my revolver, and I stop my hand. And I take my pipe out of my mouth. And I slap my face a bit.
Put on your stethoscope.
Yeah, and I say, listless. Why is that word? It's bothering me. All right, what is this? This is the carcasses of bodies. I am very used to this. And I spit in my hands. And I rub my hands together. And I take a hold of my rifle. And I start moving some bones around. And I get in close. And oh my Christ, I pass by. No, I don't. Oh my God!
Be careful, Doctor.
I failed by 2. That seems totally cruel to me. I can't spend luck, can I? On a push.
No, but it's all right. We can deal with this. Could you give me a sanity roll, please?
Sanity roll. Aced it.
Well, when you say aced it, what did you get?
I got 11 against... Apparently I hadn't lost any sanity. Is that true?
Well, that's what you think.
I mean, I have now, clearly. But 62. 11 against 62.
That's fine. So you lose 1 point of sanity.
Okay.
And that's because you sort of stride bravely towards these mounds of bones.
Yeah. Classic mistake.
And suddenly, as you look at them, you don't see bones. You see faces. You see human faces. Many, many human faces in amongst the cattle bones, looking up at you, asking to be saved, to be fixed, to be healed, but you can't. You don't have that skill as a doctor. You're not capable. That same thing that has failed you time after time on the battlefield. You can't save any of these people. They're gone. And you don't even know whether you can bring them justice. You have this horrible experience, and then the mist falls away from your eyes, and you see human skulls, and you realize as you look closely at these bones that although from a distance you saw big bones and cattle skulls, close up the vast majority of these bones are in fact human bones. You would estimate over 100 humans. You could count them if you put men to work here, but this would be days' work.
Yeah.
Sorting bone from ash.
Try a first aid roll.
And you don't know necessarily what purpose it would serve.
I think I stagger away. I think I'm sort of coughing and I'm coughing so hard that I have to take my scarf down once I'm a few yards away, and I'm coughing and trying to clear my throat of the smell of the ash. And I think I look back and I remembered seeing Kopolev. He struck quite a handsome figure as he was looking at the barn. And I remember thinking, what's he looking at? But I was just kind of trudging along at that point, slightly in my fatigued state. And then I look back at the barn and I see that list of names for the first time. And I'm just stock still in the snow with my pipe dangling out of my hand. And I look at it and I'm in a total reverie of horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have us others noticed this as well?
Noticed the amount of human bones.
Yeah.
I think from Bayo's reaction, I think that leads you to certainly, I mean, I don't know whether Kopolev is still looking at the wall, but if you were looking at Bayo, I think you would realize that he'd seen something that had given him a shock. And I think you all, dreaded but expected that you might discover this.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not aware, like he is, of the scale, but maybe you are. You've been on a battlefield. You know what a lot of corpses looks like. Actually, you can probably picture in terms of how high this thing is and how wide and how much it's been burnt and collapsed. And there's 3 of them. This isn't like a dozen people. it's dozens at least.
I think I'm going to go after Bayo. Bayo.
They burnt them. They burnt them all.
No. It seems it is what was always possible, what I feared. Our main concern now is the morale of the men. I'm in 2 minds as to what to do. I don't think there is any worth in sifting through all these bodies.
I cast an uneasy glance towards the Major. What's the Major doing?
I've probably come over and I've been reading this list of names, and I've seen your reaction. I come over and say, so it was as we feared, it seems.
No.
I can only assume this list of names is connected.
The burning of the corpses I understand, but the manner in how they died, well, I don't understand it. I say I understand it, I don't understand it, unless they're contaminated.
Major Kopolev, you've been looking at this list of names. Can you give me an intelligence roll?
Yes. Oh, for God's sake. Well, I'm going to push the roll. I got an 86. Fucking ridiculous.
How are you doing that?
How am I going to push it? I'm going to start running my fingers along it, and I'm going to read every name.
Great.
Oh, man. Oh, wow, we're both failing our push rolls. This is a nightmare.
My intelligence is 70. That was a good bet. If this was a casino, you'd be amazed that I lost that. I've rolled a 90.
Ooh.
Well, I'd like you to give me a sanity roll now, please.
Fucking hell. What's my sanity? Okay, a narrow success.
Fine. I'm not going to make you lose any sanity, but... No, yes, I am, actually. I'm going to make you lose... because, you failed a push roll. You're going to lose 1 point of sanity, please.
Yeah.
So, as you start tracing these names, you're used to reading troop rosters. You're used to reading, private such and such, sergeant such and such, lieutenant such and such, and patronymics, male endings.
Davidovich and Alexandrovich.
And these, you read them, and name after name is Ovna. And they're civilian names, and a lot of them are female. And you are just, every name you read, you see a human life, and not a military person, a civilian. And you can picture these children and women and sons and fathers and brothers. But as you picture these lives that have been destroyed, you realise that the names are written in different hands. So this isn't someone who's come along and written out a whole long list of people who've died. It's been periodic. So there's a batch, maybe there's another few, and then another list.
It's been as it's happened.
That's the thing that really gets you, because in one way it's less horrific, because it's not like, oh, this is like a massacre or a huge thing that's happened at once. But that's the thing that makes it feel very personal. When you see a memorial and you can tell that like all the names of, like, the age of the engravings is different. You're like, someone has to keep coming back and adding to this list. And that human quality is what really took it out of you.
I mean, I was going to say my first instinct was to look through the list to see if I recognised any names. I think I probably will, if we're all stood here and they're in various states of disrepair.
I don't think there's anything more to infer from here, except you going through the names. You are also aware that they're all civilian names. No one's got a military rank.
I'm stood there reading this list, and as you stand just behind me to read over my shoulder, you detect that a slight sniff, and I cover my face. I turn away and cover my face.
Oh, the tough major.
And I say, I think they were written at different points. I think this was not a mass execution. This was something else.
You remember the calendar that we saw? It was February, yes? My God, they were here for months.
Da.
These last 3 months. And then he trails off. Commissar of the Party Law, do I need to spend 4 hours with this book? Or do I need to spend 2 hours? 1 hour? Half an hour in a truck? There and back an hour? Presumably we get back?
I don't think you necessarily need to spend 4 full hours with it.
But I need some serious study time.
Yeah.
I get you.
I'm not gonna promise you that you're gonna find anything groundbreaking in it. It's a chemistry textbook.
There are no promises in...
But you do need to study it. If you want to, you don't have to. But if you want to, you do have to.
I'm going to pull out my... got a little flask of whiskey, and I'm just going to offer a sip to Bayo and to the Major.
I assume you mean vodka.
No, I've got it in my equipment, a small flask of whiskey.
Contraband. Nice.
It's, maybe a tiny bit of a power play in a moment of emotional vulnerability, but it's also just
I will happily drink some of your whiskey. It's not that he doesn't register. I mean, he takes it wordlessly, sips it, and then looks at you going, oh, the good stuff. I didn't give you the good stuff at breakfast. But okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, and I pass it back.
I offer it to the Major without saying what it is. I just sort of gesture with the flask. I don't think I'll put it to Tripp enough, just because he doesn't seem fazed.
He's got all their passports.
I don't think. And
he's not. He's completely unfazed by this.
He's getting off on it.
So before there's much of a chance for anything else, I think I'm going to say, I think we stick to the plan. I think, Major, this doesn't change the fact that I think you were right. Bale, you stay here. You want some time to study your book that might be of some help, who's to say? But all I would say is, to preserve morale, we cannot hide this from the men, but perhaps casually dissuade them from looking around this area, if you can. But
Comrade Doctor, Comrade Sergeant Doctor,
Comrade Major.
Looking at this unfortunate spectacle, do you, and given that the names were written at different points, what is your assessment medically? Do you think these were burned for their carrying infection, or to hide the fact that they were dead? I presume burning them with the cows is either because the cows were also infected, or because they want people to not see it.
Perhaps, but also, if you are afraid of infection, the sad truth is the heat required to burn the human body is intense. Burning the fat of cow would be very effective. Also killing two birds. Excuse me. Strong stuff.
Yeah.
And clearly he's covering the fact that he was about to be sick. What I'm trying to say is there may be a number of reasons why they would have done it in this manner. My concern is whether it was a contagion, whether it was how it was being spread, if it was being spread.
But you detect nothing else except human and animal bones. Cow bones.
Since you had a really good look at it, I will let you know that whether you share this or not is up to you, but you saw that, like the skulls that you found earlier, there was like an accelerant, you think maybe kerosene and some logs.
They had to make sure that the bodies were burned. They used the accelerants, just like in the garages.
So I would suggest that if they've been adding to these names, these fires were perhaps lit at the same time, and that they have no bearing on the names on the wall.
Can I try a psychology roll?
Yeah, of course. To see whether he's telling you what he really believes.
Yeah, whether he's telling me something that he wants to believe.
Okay.
Well, was that, or was that a psychoanalysis? Because I don't...
No, psychology's fine for that.
Yeah, I have passed. It's not mega. It's just a solid pass.
That's fine by me. Major Kopelev, so do you want to tell him, are you telling him what you believe to be true, or what you hope to be true, or what you want him to think you believe is true?
I am telling you what I'm genuinely trying to work it out. There's no
agenda.
There's nothing behind it. Yeah.
No, comrade. I think there could very easily be a connection between the names on that wall and the bodies here.
So you think that perhaps they added to the fires each time?
Which would explain the accelerant.
Or that there were only ever 3 bonfires?
Well, if you exhaust one, it becomes hard to manage. You build another.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that over several weeks of time, perhaps, more and more people are becoming sick with this thing. It would meet the reason why they are carrying out these experiments with the goats.
Comrades, I think we should have a detail of men to exhume these bones so that we can try and identify the causes of death, just so that we can be sure.
Well, I see, of course I see the advantage potentially in that. My worry is if we leave on a scouting expedition outside and leave the remaining men to sift through the bones of dead women and children, it doesn't seem like good work.
I understand.
I think perhaps we wait until we return.
Yeah.
And maybe I lead a detail myself of the hardier men.
And Trepanov can help you as well.
Yes,
He will not be phased.
he's a strapping lad.
I mean, I didn't see any gunshots to the skulls or anything like that, did I? I'd need to look again.
Yeah, you'd probably need to look again.
But the skulls we found already, right? The couple of skulls we found in the burnt-out infirmary,
There were a number.
they had potential signs of having been bashed or
There'd been some conflict at one time.
a chance of, yeah.
Perhaps let's walk and talk. We walk and talk back to the truck,
No.
Lieutenant. Because it's interesting you mentioned the fractured skull. My concern is there's a very specific point in the notes. Oh, goodness me, I feel so tired. I must sit down soon.
And you do. That's the thing, Dr. Lyubimova. It's not so much the exertion of. It's not so much the exertion of what you're doing. It's you had that little thought that you might leave with them, and actually the thought of leaving has suddenly made you feel very tired. You know that. It's almost like a depressive symptom.
Yeah.
The thought of doing something you don't want to do suddenly makes you so tired you just want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
That's what the idea of leaving this place has made you feel like.
Yeah. It's almost like I can't resist.
I think maybe you should come with us.
What? No, I must sit down, Major. I'm exhausted. I think perhaps it is the psychological impact of seeing all those dead.
Exactly. This is why I think a bit of fresh air will do you good. You can sleep in the back of the truck.
Perhaps I'm not sure my bowel is right.
Well, have you had a wet stool?
No, that's true, but now you mention it, perhaps I should go to the latrine. I will catch up with you as soon as I am ready. And I start to make my...
So as you make your way off to the latrine, you start to realize Kopelev and Tryapanov seemed really keen on getting you to leave. They've both tried in their own way.
Yeah, they have, haven't they?
They're really pushing for you to go with them.
Yeah. What's that about?
I'll shout after you. Bill, we will out by the truck. Decide whether or not you are coming with us.
Oh, this is going to be the shit of my life, isn't it? Quite literally.
So as he moves away, Tryapanov says, "He looks in a really bad way. I'm beginning to like the old guy, and I feel a little bit worried about him."
I grip Tryapanov by the arm and lean into him and say, you remember what I said last night about the parasites? I don't think he might have a parasitic infection, do you?
Well, I'm not a medical man, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure that he is a medical man, so I don't know, maybe we get Dugov to have a look at him and make a judgment.
Well, how good is Dugov at medicine? Let's see his diploma. What was his percentage score on his exam?
He's right here, let us ask him.
Dugov, where have you been this whole time?
What percentage did you get in your medicine degree? Oh, hello, I got in my my final exam, I've got
a very clear image of Dugov.
I got I think you would call it a Desmond Tutu. I got a 47%.
This is respectable. Go and accompany Comrade Sergeant Dr. Lyubimova. He is going to the latrine. Wait outside. When he is done, tell him you have been sent to help the doctor inspect his sample so that we can identify whether he is sick, if it is dysentery, or if he has a parasitic infection.
Of course.
Well, I will walk you over. I'll walk you over. I'll see you back at the car.
If he has dysentery, he should not come with us. If he has a parasitic infection, maybe he should come with us.
I'm going with Dukov mainly to flush his head down the toilet for being such a nerd.
My pince nez!
Oh, he's the new boy, Paul Dukov.
I know, bless him. But yeah, I don't want to disrespect Bayo to the point where I just send some little kid off to
poke through his shit.
Say, I'm here to look through your shit.
Fine. Okay, so we're stood outside the latrine when Bayo emerges.
Bayo, apparently, what's your name, soldier?
Dugov.
Dugov here has some medical experience. I thought perhaps a second set of eyes on the same problem might help. How was your stool? I hate to ask such a personal question.
No, comrades, fair question to ask, he says, and he's putting the chemistry textbook back into his jacket. He's been sat there flicking the pages through.
We're not out of toilet paper already, surely.
No, I would not use the valuable information of the Soviet Republic.
No, we have plenty of Bibles out the back.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Besides, I used a few pages from Genesis.
Would you mind, Sergeant, if I inspect your offerings?
My feces. You're talking about. Fine, of course.
Maybe I could just have I could examine you and check your pulse and your blood pressure.
I look at. I look at Fyodorov as if. Have I missed something major? Ironically, have I missed something big?
No. I listen. If you don't think it's necessary, it's not necessary. But they offered this second set of eyes on the problem. And
Keeper of the party law, I take it that commissar of the party law. Forgive me. I take it that my bowel movement was acceptable.
Yeah.
give me a bowel roll.
Unless you feel otherwise, I don't think there was anything untoward.
I mean, if anything, it's perhaps slightly less than usual because of the sheer fatigue of using the muscles for.
You didn't eat much yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably only the vodka and the whiskey that's helped it through.
Yeah.
So I say, be my guest.
Here, Dukov. Fill your boots.
So Dugov goes in there, inspects, spends 2 points of luck.
He's going to spend luck on my shit. Oh my god, we're all going to die.
It must be worth it.
All going to die.
I like the idea that might become a euphemism for going for a number 2, spending some luck.
Spending some luck.
I'm just going to go and spend a couple of points of luck.
And comes out and says, as far as I can tell, if yours is the one on top, there's not too much the matter with you physically that I can tell. Do you mind if I just quickly take your pulse and blood pressure?
Well, of course.
He takes your pulse, takes your blood pressure. He does a few very basic checks on you. His medicine is quite basic, but competent. And he says, you seem to be all right to me. Maybe you're just feeling fatigued.
Yes, listless.
Yes, I hear you say that word. Listless.
Well, thank you, Dukov.
No problem.
Always good to check these things, of course.
Of course.
Why am I saying the word listless? He scratches his head.
So we are sort of at the point where if some of us want to set off, we can. If the doctor is staying at the camp, are there any other things that the team might like the doctor to do while he remains here? Anything that you might like him to look at or check or examine?
You are my senior officers.
Wait, is there any part of the farm that we have not properly looked at? The other silos? Did we look in all... I mean, I know Fyodorov had a look in silo B, but what about A and C? Did anyone look in those?
One of them's completely unfinished, right?
C was just the foundations, basically. A, well, it's a complete silo, and no, you didn't have a look at it. You also didn't go back to see if you could gain any more information about B, although I think you decided maybe you'd seen enough.
It's sort of...
No, not going near B.
I wouldn't want to leave him with the task of investigating the silos any further on his own, certainly, or with blocking stuff.
There was the guy in the truck who he had a quick look at.
I might just sort of say, as I sort of did, you know, feel free to keep reading through your book and everything and keep an eye on the situation, but maybe just try and dissuade too many of the men from going over to those pyres.
I think we make a clear statement saying that we are concerned about contagion and no soldier should approach
Cattle bodies.
Cattle, bodies, buildings.
This will also reassure them as to why we have left, but have left the doctor in charge.
Da,
That he is in charge of ensuring no further contamination.
indeed. Good, then we are agreed.
Yes, yes.
So, Major Kopolev, Senior Lieutenant Fyodorov, and Captain Tryapanov set off in a truck with Sergeant Kovalevsky and his squad, or those of them who aren't bedbound. And the doctor is staying here to look through his book.
I think at this moment, Bayo starts to wonder about... Yeah, I think he starts to think about the Ogpu agent that Kopolev showed him and the lieutenant. He just wanders over towards the direction where the electrification truck is, and he looks over there, and I think in his mind's eye, I find myself thinking back to the time that I was on the battlefield in the uniform of one army, and the smoke was clearing, and I could hear the sound of men dying, and I looked down at the corpse before me, a portly man in his late 40s, fighting for his beliefs, fighting for this new Red Army. And I look at him. He's been killed by a bullet wound to the head. Part of his face is missing. But the other half of his face looks curiously calm. And in that moment, I think perhaps I should trade places with this man. And I see that his uniform is clean, pristine, untouched somehow by the blood. It is worn and torn with the business of being a soldier and the mud and snow of battle, but in that moment, I realize that the smoke is all around me and there is a crater nearby from one of the shells. And I drag him through to the crater and I begin to strip. And I strip the corpse. And the two of us, in that moment, are naked. And I look down at this naked, dead man with half a head, with his brains spilt onto the mud, his Red Army uniform. And I think, yes, I will take your life now. I will take the mask of you